Blog Talk Radio.
Greetings, people of the world. We are Anonymous, and this is the Anti-Radio Network. The views and opinions expressed in our programming do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Anonymous or any sector. If it does and you do not like it, we do not care.
Com. Take my hand and I will lead you to the so-called end. Hold me tight and I'll forgive you for making me stay. Tell me lies and then I'll leave you, but lies are made of mistake. Better be strong.
Many of us were told in private conversations that if we voted against this bill on Monday, that the sky would fall, the market would drop 2,000 or 3,000 points the first day, another couple thousand the second day, and a few members were even told that there would be martial law in America if we voted no.
We've got to stabilize the population. When I was born, there
so
were
what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people. That's why we have global warming. We have global warming because too many people are using too much stuff. But if there were less people, they'd be using less stuff.
In 1913, the money power of the country was taken away from the people by constitutional privilege. It belongs with the Congress, but it was given up in the Federal Reserve Act. The Federal Reserve is no more federal than Federal Express.
Hold me tight and I'll forgive you for making me stay. Tell me lies and then I'll leave you, but lies are made of mistake.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen around the world. Thank you for tuning in. This is April 5th, 2016. Against the Grain, hashtag ExposeCPS with special guest Ash Fawkes of Anon Resistance, and I am your host, Rush Perez of the Real World Order. My, what an interesting time since the last time that we all spoke. All kinds of crazy stuff has been going on. I know I usually open up the show with such comments. It becomes a little redundant, but nevertheless, it is a harsh reality. Ash will be joining us later on here in the show. He is getting some final things together before he joins us on air. We're definitely going to have a very good show tonight. We are going to go into a lot of different topics, including Expose Operation CPS. This, to me, is a recap because we once before last year attempted to do a show on this, and we had technical difficulties. Thank you, Blog Talk. We ended up having technical difficulties, so that show really didn't get to a lot of the points that myself nor Ash and company were trying to get a hold of. So hopefully today we will be able to do that a lot better. Wow. Let's start off with, as always, here at ATG, we always like to talk about follow the money, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. Our stock market has just been plummeting and 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 plummeting. It has been in triple digits deficits for I can't even tell you how many days, but in case you didn't know, there is definitely a huge banking bubble globally going on. Now, speculation can have it one way and facts can have it another. I prefer to go in the ways of facts. Facts is that the World Bank, this is something that Switchblade of A&T, who hosts Beyond the Veil every Wednesday at 7 p.m., same bad time, same bad station, discussed with me a couple of shows prior and was like, hey, you know what? I got something I want you to do. I want you to explain to our listeners exactly what, why the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, is the bank of all banks, the central banks, the central bank of all banks, I guess you can necessarily call it. You can call it many different things. But anyway, without getting too deep into it, because we are going to have another show on this, is the reason why is because they get to control which currency and what percentage that is value is going to be at. That is one of the major tools that makes the BIS so important, because it deals with all the trading and the values of the currency depending on the trade, depending on the region. Like I said, we will get more into detail on that in future shows. But this is an article from CNBC that I wanted to get into before we go into Operation Expose CPS and our special ghost, our special guest, special ghost, well, kind of, sort of, Ash Fawkes of Anon Resistance. This is off the CNBC U.S. Markets. It's an article that was posted by Evelyn Cheng, Cheng. You can tweet her at CHENGEV as in Victor ELYN on Twitter. The article headline goes, Dow closes down triple digits for the first time since March 8th. I'm not going to go super deep into this article, but there are a couple of the paragraphs that I am going to go through and kind of sort of paraphrase for you. U.S. stocks closed lower Tuesday following declines in overseas developed markets on soft data despite gains in oil prices and better U.S. data. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed down about 133 points, its first triple-digit loss since March 8th. Now, mind you, ladies and gentlemen, it's only April 5th. So it's not like this is, oh my God, this is like, this is the first time it's hit triple digits in almost 6 months. You haven't even gotten over the 90-day mark, okay? Moving on the article. Selling accelerated as the close approached, with the Dow briefly off more than 150 points and the S&P 500 tumbling more than 1% to temporarily erase gains for the year so far. The S&P 500 closed at 1.01% lower for its biggest daily loss since March 8th, but held 0.06% higher for 2006. Now, I'm going to skip through this article because there's a couple of numbers here that I want to throw out that I want to look. If you don't believe anything here, definitely go ahead and do your research. And also, before we start to go on here, I do encourage callers to go ahead and call us today. We are taking calls, so the number is 347-850-8945. Again, that's 347-850-8945. One of the biggest things that I also want to bring across is that the whole situation of the global bubble of the finances and us constantly telling you to watch the money. follow the money. Look at how they worship God, the gold, oil, and drugs, and it really starts to bring things more into the light of why we always say follow the money and why it's an important thing. Concluding here on the article, shares of Allergan closed 14.77% lower. Earlier, the stock fell more than 15% to a 52-week low after the Treasury Department late Monday took new steps to curb tax-avoiding, quote, inversion deals, in which a U.S. company reincorporates overseas following the purchase of foreign company. Dublin-based Allergan, Dublin, Dublin-based Allergan had agreed to be bought by Pfizer, Pfizer, in the biggest inversion deal ever. Shares of Pfizer closed up 2.08% on today, which is Tuesday. So you can go ahead and follow more on that article. Like I said, it's just, I love how mainstream media has pointed out to be like this is the very first time. It's been such a long time since we have had triple-digit loss. If you do recall, or you could definitely go ahead and research, the Dow Jones has been up and down for quite a few months. Actually, we started out the beginning of the year extremely rocky. January and February were very hard-hit months, they said, due to, I've heard several different things, anything from the shopping to Black Friday to anything else as to why the market was doing how they were doing. But nevertheless, that plus the oil going up and down, $40 a barrel, that hits a lot of pockets depending on the industry that you are in and the region of the world that you are in. So, ladies and gentlemen, I definitely do encourage you guys to definitely follow the money and keep up on that. This episode, as always, we always have our tool of the week. Actually, this week we have several of them. Actually, a couple of them to be specific. And also our moment of clarity, which is like my Jerry Spring moment to get out and close the show. One of the other stories that I wanted to go to today is a article from Stars and Stripes. The reason why I'm bringing this article up before I actually go into the title and everything else is because last year we covered on Against the Grain a story about a shipment of, or I shouldn't say a shipment, but an order of UPS outfits that ended up being purchased through eBay or whatnot. Now, authorities, so there's been different stories out saying that was a hoax or whatnot. Nevertheless, this story is not a hoax. As I said, this story comes off of StarsandStripes.com. Officials searching for a CIA FBI badge counterfeit. Okay? So this is not an April Fool's story. This was actually published by the Associated Press March 31st, 2016 out of Alexandria, Virginia. This is not a very long article, so if you don't mind bearing with me here, we'll push through this and figure out what's all going on here with this story. Officials are searching for a man, they say, made and distributed counterfeit badges for the CIA, FBI, and Homeland Security investigations. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement authorities say 34-year-old Roberto I'm not even going to attempt the last name, Cracciunica, was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia in October on several charges related to making and distributing counterfeit badges. They say the Romanian man is thought to be living in Germany. Wow. I'm going to stop right there before I continue on to that. First off, the fact that he is finding refuge in Germany should not be any surprise to anybody, considering that Merkel has definitely found a different way to bring down Germany with bringing all the refugees, which is a story that we will get to later on within the hour of exactly how other countries, Mexico, is dealing with migrants and their own citizens to show the international community that they are not wanted if they are not vetted. There is a big difference between illegal immigrants and immigrants. There's a big difference. Anywho, but I just found that very interesting. Moving on in the article, Interpol has also issued a notice for this gentleman's arrest. Officials say that his company, Master Equipment, sold the badges online and shipped them from Germany to buyers in the U.S. Authorities say the badges were used by several people in the U.S., including a man who attempted to impersonate a CIA officer to get into the secure area of Reagan National Airport in January of 2014. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me stop right there. Well, actually, that's the end of the article. But this isn't anything new, okay? There has been so many times that people have gone and impersonated these things. But the reason why that this brings so much attention to me is because of all the sense of false flags that are going on. And to me, and let me just put it out there, this is purely speculatory, but that it does kind of make it a nice little bed to, try and, see what's going to go on. You know what I mean? How can I explain it? I'm sorry, pardon me for being tongue-tied, but it gives them a perfect bed to be, for us not to find out the facts of who these people are that are doing these bad things, such as the terrorist acts like Brussels and the things going on in France and the things going on in the UK. I don't know. That's, like I said, it's just pure speculatory, but that's just something that I've seen to notice as we've go along there. But I thought this article was very interesting. And how the feds say that, oh no, we got this, we got this all taken care of. And of course, we all know that we're safe when we have Big Brother and Big Sister over our shoulders and breathing down our necks. But speaking of security, let's get into our beautiful Big Brother and Big Sister. There is an article that I got off of yahoo.com that I sourced, and the title is CIA Leaves Explosives on School Bus After Training Exercise. Before I even get into that article, I think it kind of just speaks for itself when you want Big Brother and Big Sister to take care of you. Sometimes they're not even sure of it. Look at how we're taking in immigrants. We're not even vetting them, so it shows how much responsibility and accountability that we're willing to take. The article states that the CIA said it had taken immediate steps to strengthen inventory and control procedures, end quote, in the training program and would conduct a, quote, thorough and independent, end quote, review of the incident, according to AFP. This is a photo that is on the actual article by Mario Tama. And the article reads from Washington AFP, a Virginia school bus ferrying students to and from classes this week had explosives under the hood after the CIA accidentally left them following a training exercise, the intelligence agency said. Quote, last week, a CIA K-9 unit conducted a routine training exercise with law enforcement officials in Loudoun, Loudon County, Virginia, end quote, the CIA said in a statement on Thursday. During the exercise, explosive training materials was inadvertently left by the CIA K-9 unit in one of the buses used in the exercise. The bus was used Monday and Tuesday to transport high school and elementary students who were in no danger because the explosive materials were, quote, incredibly stable, the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office said in a statement. The CIA said it had taken, quote, immediate steps to strengthen inventory and control procedures, end quote, in the training program and would conduct a, quote, thorough and independent review of the incident. The agency placed the explosive materials inside the engine compartment while training explosives detonating dogs during spring break, the CIA said. Some of the material, quote, appears to have been dislodged and fell into the engine compartment, end quote, the sheriff's office said. A technician conducting routine maintenance on the bus found the explosives on Wednesday. The CIA has suspended its program until it completes its review, the sheriff's office said. There's your big brother and big sister there, ladies and gentlemen. Not only did they forget that they had it on there, they also had canine sniffing bomb dogs that also didn't indicate that it fell into the engine compartment part while they were transporting students to and from school. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thought that was very interesting and figured you will as well. There is a lot going on as far as the world right now going on, especially with Operation Right to Rest, which is something else that I wanted to bring up to ladies and gentlemen around the world tuning into us today. This evening. Thank you again for tuning in with us and rocking with us. You can catch us every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central. That is U.S. time zone right here at blogtalkradio.com/Anonymous North Texas. You can find us and also the mother show Beyond the Veil, which is hosted by Switchblade in Orlando, Phoenix, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Same bad time, same bad station. We are actually going to so much news. You know, sometimes I get a little turned around sometimes. I'm just not exactly sure which way to go because there's so many different fires. One thing that I will say is that I did end up going down last night. We did have the Trump and Bernie Sanders rally down here in Milwaukee. One was at the Performing Arts, and one was at the Arena, which little did I know until I got down there, we're literally across the street from each other. And if you have not kept up on the news, that has not always turned out to be necessarily a really good event. Sometimes it has turned out kind of violent. You have had all kind of different reactions from the protests. You've actually had violence pop out. You had people scream on different sides for different reasons. I will tell you that one of the things that I actually witnessed firsthand is that there is a hell of a difference between the Bernie Sanders supporters and the Trump supporters. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, and I know it sounds kind of weird because I'm kind of slurring my words a little bit because I have to be careful on how I say this because I really don't want it to come off the same talking points as other media is. I want to give a direct first-hand account of what I saw. First off, I took the Milwaukee Transit down there, and I ended up running into some Bernie Sanders supporters that were going to the rally, which I have no problems with, but I heard them talking, and then, of course, me being a journalist, my first question was, okay, well, why are you a Bernie Sanders supporter? Or, excuse me, my first question was, why are you not a Trump supporter? Which I automatically let them know right away. I'm an anarchist. I don't really give a damn which way it goes until the Constitution and Bill of Rights are followed. I really don't give a damn. They blue and red make green, so they high-five each other behind closed doors. Went to that whole spiel. And I literally heard, and I mean without a doubt, without a skip of a beat, the same exact talking points that the dinosaur mainstream elitists, the establishment, which like I said before, never in the times of media has it been okay. And have you ever heard CNN, Fox, MSNBC ever refer to themselves or even acknowledge themselves as the establishment? Okay, do you see that little? I know it seems a little, insignificant, but that's actually a really huge deal. In all the times of doing journalism, I really seriously have not heard establishment. Yes, I'm establishment. I've never heard it being said so boastfully before until this prior election. And in the same respect, I've never heard of somebody being on the walk of stars and shitting and pissing on somebody's star because they don't agree with them. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I can't make that up, and I will cover that definitely in my tool of the fucking week this week. And yes, I'm sorry, that was just a story that I'm still just can't even imagine that it's true. I'm going to take some callers right now, covering some things that we've already covered here. Again, the number is 347-850-8945. That is 1-347-850-8945. Try to be patient with me. I am controlling the boards this evening. It is a solo dolo show, which is not a problem, and I will try to get to all your calls as they are important as we go along. The first person that we're going to go to here is a caller coming in from the 916. Hi, caller. Do you have any comments or anything that you would like to say for us this evening?
Yeah. Hi. My name is Andrea Combs. A lot of people know me on Facebook. I've been fully involved in the Operate the Rest here in Sacramento, California. I was part of the occupation of City Hall. We were out there for approximately 93 days, 24 hours, trying to get the no camping ordinance overturned. It did not pass as of March 29th, so we are still fighting, and now the occupation is pretty much over at the state capitol here in Sacramento. I'm also huge on the ExposeCPS issue. I personally had my child taken at gunpoint by a police officer after I requested a warrant to enter my home, in which he could not provide. I fought for a year.
Oh wow! I'm sorry. I don't mean to stop you right there, but you don't, because anonymity is very key to us here on this show. You don't have to give a specific area, but can you give me a general area of where this incident happened?
California.
Wow. Wow. Okay, continue.
Everybody knows who I am. I'm a full anonymous supporter. My name is out there because I am looking for my daughter. I personally have court watched for numerous people. I've assisted in getting 15 children home, 9 of who are in the adoption process. But because I knew the rights and I went online to study how to become a social worker for CPS so that we could beat them at their own game, I personally proved the social worker had lied on the stand, and at that point the judge called me an excellent mother and ordered my daughter returned home to me. The day my daughter was supposed to come home, the social worker supervisor walked into the court and lied and said I attempted to kidnap my child 2 weeks before she's supposed to come home. Who in their right mind would do such a horrendous thing or even attempt to do so after fighting for 14 months knowing their child's coming home? I do not know where my child is. I'm looking everywhere for her. And yes, my name is out there because I want my child to find me.
I'm sorry, you're currently going through this right now at this moment.
Yes, my daughter was officially adopted out July 14th. I actually went down to the 3rd District Appeals Court here in Sacramento, California, and tried to get my case reinstated on my own, denied the motion the day of the adoption supposed to be taking place. So we did protest outside the family courthouse and tried to stop it to no avail.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but under what terms was it? What terms was it denied? Like, I'm not really understanding how and why it was denied.
Money, all Title IV funding. Title IV funding at the expense of taxpayer money. It's guaranteed money into the social worker's pocket. The second a child is removed from the home in the state of California, that's $8,000. I personally met with the director of the Department of Social Services in July of 2015 at the Attorney General's office. His name is Kevin Gaines. His job is to obtain all the reports from every county in the state of California, which, by the way, has been found insubordinate, and turn those reports over to the federal government to obtain that Title IV funding. And why, my question to him was, why are you even dispersing this money to all the counties when you know they're insubordinate? Because if I were working, which I do work, and I wasn't doing my job, I wouldn't have a job, and let alone get paid. So why, taxpayers need to be made aware that, we hear all the time about how this country is in debt. Are we really in debt? Because I'll tell you right now, CPS is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and that needs to stop. Our children are being kidnapped. It's modern-day black market adoption, and it needs to stop. My child was sold as a commodity. My child is not a commodity. I even had a social worker, my first court hearing, expecting my child to come home. I was crying on the elevator, and I'll never forget this lady saying, "You need to follow me," when we got off the elevator. And I did, and we went around the corner of the courthouse, and she goes, "First of all, don't let them see you cry, because if they see you cry, they're going to say you're unstable. You need to go in there and fight for your child like she's a piece of property." And I know that sounds awful, but you need to act like you're going through a divorce and you're fighting for a house, because that's how they treat your children. And it blew my mind. And I fought and I fought and I fought and I fought. I recorded every single conversation between myself and the social worker. I have numerous videos. I even proved the social worker lied on the stand under oath. And it wasn't
okay.
My child. No.
All right. First off, I'm absolutely mind blown by what you're sharing with us. Second, thank you very much, because this is not an easy thing, especially when you're dealing with it personally. And I commend you for your vigilance to be able to come and bring this forth, so other people who may be going through this and might not have the strength to come forward may have the strength to go forward and hold these people accountable for this unfortunate things that these children who are not deserving of it and that don't need it are going through. If you don't mind, I'm going to take one more caller here, but we're definitely going to get back to you here in just 1 second. All right, just hold tight. I want to give everybody a little chance to talk here. Caller, are you ready to comment? Thank you for joining ATG.
Who are you talking
Hello?
to, me?
Yes.
816.
Hi, you're live on air.
Okay, Ms. Jones, I'm sorry what's happened with you and your child. You need to post the picture out there more, because it's not getting out there. I'm from Missouri, and every time a child is looking for a parent, I always share with everybody on my list and ask everybody to share so you can find your child. And I know how you feel. I lost my granddaughter. I'm fighting to get her back. But I wish you all the luck in the world, and share your picture of your daughter more. That's all I got to say. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for Thank you so much for calling in, and definitely continue to listen to the show. Thank you very much for your feedback. And that was support going to our caller who is online. You're live, by the way. I got you back on here. And that was, she was just basically saying, make sure you get more pictures, get as many pictures of your child as you can. But at the same time, it's not necessarily that she doesn't know where her child is due to her negligence or anything like that. She doesn't know where her child is because her child is lost within the system and the loopholes that the government and CPS have taken to keep her child away from her. But definitely, thank you very much for that. That's why I love doing what I do, because it's us helping each other. Not big brother, not big government or anything like that. It takes a whole village, and sometimes it takes the Indians, it takes the chiefs, the lieutenants, and sergeants and so forth. But it takes the whole village, nevertheless. Our first caller, like I said, I do have you live. You can go ahead and continue on with what you've been experiencing for our listeners.
Well, I'll tell you right now, ExposeCPS literally has saved my life, and it has empowered me to have the strength to carry on and help other parents. The thing that kills me the most is when I'm on the phone giving somebody my phone number to call me to keep them from hurting themselves because of the loss of their children. I do everything I can to strengthen other parents because the system, that's what they want. They want to prove a parent is unstable because they say that when they take the children based on they have a feeling that something will happen to the child in the future. And then when a parent goes and harms themselves or does something they shouldn't do, then you're proving the system right. So whatever somebody does, there's support out there for us, and that's why I do what I do. I do protests. I've been on the news. I've been in the paper. I'm very vocal. I've put flyers up of my daughter all over the area. I have had a couple of leads on where she may be. We've obtained social workers' addresses, judges' addresses. How would they like it if I went to their neighborhood and put flyers of my child up everywhere to remind them that they're stealing our children? How would their neighbors feel if they knew that what was really going on? But people just need to know, people say all the time, I don't have CPS in my life. Yes, you do. If you have a school-age child, you have CPS in your life, because I've actually infiltrated a couple of CPS meetings in which they're training each other on how to gain access and entry into people's homes. And they've started by making telephone calls. If I were to call CPS on somebody, obviously I might know their information. Give them their phone number. Well, they've got a group that's calling these people and saying, we're offering low-cost, services within your area. If you're down or you're having difficulty raising your children, the second they ask you, how many children do you have in your home? And you say, well, I have 2 children. You just gave a stranger information about your home, and that's failure to protect. They just went down to a judge and got a warrant to come into your house and take your kids. These are the games that they're playing, and people need to know this. They need to know to protect their children at all costs. Teachers are trained. They're mandated reporters. They've actually here in this area have gone back and started retraining teachers on how to properly write reports. They're actually recruiting other parents to be mandated reporters. So they are desperate to get our children. The months from April, May, and June are the quota months, and they do get a lot of incentives. The social worker in my particular case, I got information, made $22,000 in 1 year in incentive money alone, on top of her $76,000 a year annual pay. And she lives in a $500,000 home. So this is what's happening, and people need to know.
Really quick here. I know you said that you're well known and everything, and I commend you for the steps that you've been taking in this fight. Do you have any links or any websites to yourself with the work that you've done? I know you said you have videos or whatnot. If you don't, I do invite you to go to our post in the Real World Order. That's facebook.com/groups/ the official group of the Real World Order. Please, by all means, upload the videos, because this is something that needs to be seen. Even if you need to send them to me, you'd like me to post them, I don't care. I would definitely like to get these videos out so people can see the rough, rugged, and raw of what these tyrants are doing to try to take our children. And even more or less on that point, this is something that they said us conspiracy theorists, tinfoil hat guys, said was so far-fetched. Ladies and gentlemen, do you remember the RDFI chips? Yeah, I'm sure you remember those, right? Those are covered in the Patriot Act, all right, that everybody said was a joke, all right? Now you go to Disney World, they have a bracelet, all right, that tracks your every move. But, you know, you don't worry about it tracking your every move because it gives you a $5 coupon on your meal. Okay, so you're happy with that. You people don't even care. They compromise their security and privacy themselves. And this is a big thing.
Let's go one step further. The whole chipping our animals is just the precursor of what they're going to try to do to us. You know, that's trial and error for us to do to us.
Right. And I'm going to get into that point here in just a second. But my main thing with that is that this is something that was pre-talked about, that a lot of people, experts and you know, hecklers alike, have always said and have said from the beginning, oh, this is just them going crazy. This is just them. Oh, no, there's no such thing of it going on. And then turn around, you find out, yeah, it actually is going on. It's a little big brother, big sister program. You see something, say something. Well, see, the whole thing is that, you know what, you screwed me over last week, or I feel like you screwed me over last week, so I'm going to tell somebody that you've seen something. It's called vengeance, which is unfortunately an ugly head that rears throughout American traditions and worldwide traditions, just a humanistical tradition, period. Okay? And they play on that, just like they play on us not knowing what's going on. They play on that ignorance. They simply do it because that's how they profit. And you have to be aware of that. You have to make sure that you are equipping yourself with a sharp enough tool of knowledge that when you hear the disinformation and just that slight edge of the truth, that you can wrap it right back around with that boomerang of truth. In fact, okay, not theory, not opinion, not emotion. Okay, that's why they're all different words in the Webster vocabulary. That's why there's so many words in the English language and in different variations of languages. There's different words for different things. And something that I've noticed, and I've brought this up on posts of the RWO, the Real World Order, is definitions. Don't get confused in the definitions. Don't get caught up in the dust. You know what I'm saying? A stone is a stone. A spade is a spade. Okay. You put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. All right. Let's not try to maneuver and screw around with words to sheeple and herd more of the general public that you already know is not is misinformed. Caller, did you have anything else that you would like to close up with here? I want to go on to some different subjects here. Ash is going to be joining us here within the next 10 minutes or so he'll probably be joining us in the second hour. Is there any websites or anything else like that you have, any closing things that you would like to give the audience?
I'm fully involved with the whole ExposeCPS. It's hashtag ExposeCPS, United States, California. Every single state pretty much has a chapter now. We've got it in the UK, Australia, Canada. And also hashtag Taken, which is a site you can post pictures of your stolen children on there if you're looking for your children, and fightcps.com. So there's a few that I'm connected to, but my primary one is ExposeCPS with Ash Fawkes. So I look forward. That's why I was calling in to listen to him talk. I didn't think.
No worries. No worries. No.
I do appreciate all that you're doing. I think it's a fabulous show, and I'm more than welcome. I'm more than willing to get on the show at any time. I've done quite a few shows. I actually did. I don't know if you've ever heard of William J. Wagner.
Yes,
I'm
familiar.
I did this. I went to Santa Barbara and I did his show live on TV. So,
okay.
We're supposed to be doing another one here in Sacramento here pretty soon. I'm not sure when we're going to do that, but I will be live on that show as well, and I will be more than happy to get those videos to you. But thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to speaking with you some more. And everybody out there who is fighting for their children, do not give up. You know, my mother worked for the state and retired from the state after 29 years, and they didn't even give my mother a chance to get my child. So nobody's immune. Nobody's immune. It's kind of like walking into the courtroom and pulling a one-armed bandit and hoping for all seven, because that's what you're facing when you go into those family courts. So thank you. You have a great day.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
And hold on and stay on for the rest of the show there. I really do appreciate you coming on. And like I said, it's a very bold thing. It's not a very easy thing, especially when you're going through it firsthand, to come on and express that, and more or less give other people the strength who might not have the knowledge or even the gumption or cojones to be able to stand up or even know where to go out of fear, out of anything. So thank you very much. Please make sure that you contact me. Just follow the links. Definitely can contact me on Against the Grain, the A&T Network, Beyond the Veil, Operation Matrix 3, the Real World Order, anything like that. Contact me directly, Rush Perez, and I will definitely set something up with you and have you on and give you some time here. So thank you very much for that. Ash is going to be actually joining us here in the second hour after our, well, I say probably, interesting song that I've decided to pick out for our break song as of recent. We talked a lot about Big Brother and Big Sister. I like to comment on those very often because it's funny how people confuse security with raping you of your privacy and your rights. People get them snatched right underneath the rug without even understanding exactly what's going on. And a lot of that has to do with the market, you know what I'm saying? Good old gold, old, and drugs. That's a big thing that everybody is always going after. I'm not gonna actually revert a little bit here and go back into following the money and get back into CPS here after the break once we're joined here with Ash Fawkes of Anon Resistance. This is a Bloomberg report that came out March 29, 2016. It's an article by Craig Torres. It's actually a gentleman that I followed quite a bit. He's a very good reporter, and he's pretty biased when it comes to his articles. So shout out to Mr. Torres and Bloomberg. Also, always fun networking with you guys. The article reads, Yellen says caution in raising rates in, quote, especially warrant. This is going back in the fight that has been going on since, I say, probably about late November, when the Federal Reserve was on the chopping block, I would say, as far as if they were going to increase rates. Interest rates, which that deals with the housing market, that has to do with your 401ks and other things. Janet Yellen, obviously, is one of the head sorceresses of the Federal Reserve. This is a little bit of what she said. I'm not going to go super deep into this article. I'm just actually going to read about 3 or 4 paragraphs of it, just to give you a little background of exactly what the article is about. The article reads, Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen said it is appropriate for the U.S. central bankers to, quote, proceed cautiously in raising interest rates because the global economy presents heightened risk. Okay? I just want that to sink in. Continuing. Speech to the Economic Club of New York made a strong case for running the economy hot to push away from the zero boundary for the Federal Open Market Committee's target rate. Quote, I consider it appropriate for the committee to proceed cautiously in adjusting policy, Yellen said Tuesday. Quote, this caution is especially warranted because the federal funds rate so low, the FOMC's ability to use conventional monetary policy to respond to economic disturbances is astronomical. Okay, and then quote, Fed officials left their benchmark leading rate target unchanged this month to 0.25% at 0.25% to 0.5% while revising down their median estimate for the number of rate increases that will be warranted this year to 2 hikes from 4 projected in December. U.S. Treasuries advanced following her remarks while the dollar weakened and U.S. stocks erased earlier losses. The Standard & Poor's 500 index was up 0.5% to 2,046.90 at 1:52 p.m. in New York after falling as much as 0.4%. Then it gets a little more into doubling down and whatnot. But the main reason why I keep bringing these things up is because, wow, that was pretty fun. So I guess Blog Talk Radio did not like me talking about the Federal Reserve. Well, guess what, Blog Talk and NSA and TSA, CIA, FBI, and all the rest of you alphabet assholes. You are not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing. So, continuing on, there is a global bubble that is going on as far as natural resources within within countries. This is going on as far as Ukraine, dealing with the natural gas that goes through the pipelines that fall between Turkey, that fall in between Russia and other countries within those lines. That's why a lot of the sanctions that the West was putting on Russia never made a difference, because Putin had already adjusted for that, which I always thought was a huge laugh anyway. And we also covered in our Middle East coverage in Ukraine 1.0, 2.0 that we had, and we covered extensively. And if you do want to catch those shows, go ahead and check those out on our mobile-friendly platform, soundcloud.com/Anonymous North Texas. You can catch all the Beyond the Veil and Against the Grain episodes rebroadcast in full and in live color audio for any of your devices on that platform. But this is something that we have covered extensively. This all goes back to, believe it or not, my best buddy, George Soros. Isn't it funny? George Soros is more like the Democratic Hitler, and then you have Hillary Clinton and the Rockefellers on the other side to go along with the Rothschilds and all of our household names. But you also can't forget the other names that have popped in, like the Summers, the Berinskis, even though he's a little bit of a sour puss. Susan Rice and the other snake in the grass that took over for Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, and others. It is just amazing to see how things have revolved from Capitol Hill to our own domestic and local lines. I am being joined now, honestly, by our special guest here, Ash Fawkes of Anonymous Resistance, who's going to get more into Operation ExposeCPS, Operation Pedo Eaters, and other operations that are within the Anonymous community. How are you doing tonight, Mr. Fawkes?
Great.
Wasn't ready for all that, huh?
How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Unfortunately, we have to cover something that to me should just be so elementary, but unfortunately, our local, state, federal, and international agencies have decided to use as a political pawn, so we have to cover it. But other than that, I'm doing pretty great here. Is there anything you want?
I apologize. I missed the first portion of the show.
Oh, we've actually been covering quite a few things. We covered a little bit of CPS. We actually had a caller call in who decided to be bold enough to share her experiences of her dealing with CPS, her struggles of her not knowing where her son is and being lost in the system, her fight that she's given back to CPS to try to find her son, and her child, and empower other people to speak up and to fight back against CPS just coming in there and invading homes for the most dumbest reasons. We talked about it on the show before, even though we had technical difficulties, of parents who are great parents and have great loving homes and having their children snatched out because they smoke a bowl and their kid are resting in bed and they're smoking a bowl outside, and their neighbor didn't like it and called on them and everything else. Little things to the actual parents who have been abusing their children have had reports going to CPS and have been ignored by CPS. And CPS's response is because of their heavy caseload and shortage of staff, along with numerous other excuses. We got about 3 minutes here before the break. Is there anything you want to throw out to the listeners really quick here before we go to break?
Yeah, there's one operation that's going on in several cities right now that Anon Resistance is really big into backing and being involved in it. It's called Operation Right to Rest. It's based off of a Department of Justice report about homelessness, and basically that resting and sleeping is a human right that has to happen sometime. It's an integral human right, and preventing people from doing that with things like camping bans and different city ordinances like that are violating people's basic human rights. And these people have to go somewhere. The government basically created the housing crisis that we have now, and now their solution to that is to criminalize the victims of it. So I definitely want to talk about that operation a little bit because it's highly connected to Operation Safe Winter, and is also connected to Operation ExposeCPS because about half of all foster children become homeless when they turn 18. If you're in foster care, you're most likely becoming homeless, and a large portion of kids that are adopted too, I'm sure. If the adopted parents are just wanting money,
Right. A lot of the adoption parents and a lot of the foster homes, a lot of them, that's where you get your, I forgot the gentleman's name, but he had all those girls in the basement or whatever, and whatever else, or he had kids in the basement or in a barn or something and just collecting the check. I mean, it's just some sick things that's going on. But we are definitely approaching the halfway point here. We are going to be rocking out to Fat Records this evening, a group called Leftover Crack. They have an awesome song called System Fucked, and I figured this is an appropriate song for a system that is fucked, from CPS to our financial system. Thank you very, very much, Fat Records. And that's Rec Chords, WRECK Chords, CORDS. If you want to check them out on YouTube or anything else, they are an awesome record label. And thank you for giving us permission to play your music during our halfway point. Once again, this is Leftover Crack, System Fucked by Fat Records.
Fight join that army, you ain't gonna be nobody.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned in to Against the Grain, hashtag Operation Expose CPS, which is not one of my favorite subjects. It is April 5th, 2016. You are rocking with Against the Grain. I am your host, Rush Perez of the Real World Order, and I am joined this evening with Fawkes of Anon Resistance, where we get into several different operations that is going on within the anonymous community, which the anonymous community is the humanitarian community, and the humanitarian community is all of us within this lovely atmosphere. That's all us human beings, even the bees, which I will get into a little bit later. Fawkes, how are you doing this evening, brother?
Great.
Excellent. Without further ado, I want to nosedive straight into the things that you have as far as what Anon Resistance is doing, what you've actually been up to since the very last time we've all connected here online. Also, what's going on with Eddie. Awesome guy. Hey, Eddie, I know it was a little short notice, brother. My apologies. You already know you're more than welcome on ATG, and we'll have you guys on, obviously, very, very many times because these are causes that need more attention, and you guys are some of the pioneers and definitely hard workers of it, along with your company and other people that are doing it with you. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to give Mr. Fawkes the floor here. Fawkes. Non-resistance.
Greetings. All right, well, we had our last international protest, which I was hoping would be a little bit bigger, but we had protests in some cities that we haven't previously had protests in, even though some of the other ones that we have had large protests in, there wasn't really much to speak of this time. We are making progress, and we are steadily adding more and more cities and groups to our list of people that will and groups that will protest on us on our international protest date. And what's going on now, we have April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we're doing the Blue Balloon Awareness Campaign, where we're asking people to tie a blue balloon outside of their house, or even go guerrilla style and put some in some public places somewhere where it can be hard to take down. Basically write a message on it. A hashtag works, maybe like ExposeCPS, Death Eaters. There's another great hashtag called Taken that is started by another advocate in Oklahoma. She's great. That she has photo albums on her page of kids that have been taken, and causing quite a bit of controversy there because some of the photos are them when they're with the foster parents, etc., things like that. And there's issues about, you have foster parents trying to say, oh, you don't have permission to put that photo up, but once it's been put on Facebook, you don't own it anymore. So, and we're doing several phases for April. First, we're starting out with the blue balloon. Then the last week, the 22nd to 25th, is another international protest date. The 25th is International Parental Alienation Awareness Day, which is an issue that ties into ExposeCPS because oftentimes one parent will try to use CPS to alienate the other parent in a custody battle and things like that.
Okay.
And the phases of April will be laid out shortly.
All right. Excellent. As far as the hashtags, because as we've learned through Twitter and everything else, hashtagging is a way for us to get around the corporate loophole and beat them at their own game, and makes the causes more searchable. And it bumps it up because on Google, for our listeners, in case you're new to this or in case it's the first time you're joining in and have ever listened to us, basically what Google does is that Google, their search results result on the biggest dollar. Who's going to pay the top dollar for the top result? Not necessarily the most beneficial to what you're searching for. That's why I always encourage DuckDuckGo.com and other search engines, because not only do they give you a true refined definition of what you're looking for and articles that are relevant, but it doesn't go to the highest dollar. It goes to the relevancy of what you're searching for. Not to mention things like DuckDuckGo and Bing.com have it where you can privately browse, so you browse anonymously. There's other ways to do that as well. Go on, Ash. My apology.
Oh, I like to use Disconnect Search also. It's a great one.
Yes. Definitely. What are some links that the listeners can link to? Because I know this is an international thing, but a lot of the things that Anonymous has done ever since its origin is that even though it's an international, worldwide call of action, there are local branches and local affiliates that people can get within their city and state or region to be able to participate. Do you have any links you can shout out to any to the listeners that they may be able to link up with?
Here at the end of the program or sometime during the middle of it, I will post a list on the ExposeCPS main page of groups that we have. There is a photo I post in the list of groups that I'll share with that, and they're all nice alphabetical order. We have groups for just about every state, province, territory. Only one for the UK so far. We have one that popped up in Norway. I believe we're going to be getting some other European groups as well soon.
Excellent. Something that I do want to ask is, I know you have been an advocate on several different fronts, from Operation Right to Rest and everything, and I kind of want to get a little more into that. We have a person on the ground that decided that they are going to go and actually live homeless in their area firsthand to get knowledge of how the government is responding and treating those who are homeless. So shout outs to that gentleman. You know who you are. Safe travels with that, because it is absolutely fucking disgusting the way that they're treating people who are homeless. And it's like, people have to understand, not every homeless person's a drug addict. Not every homeless person's a prostitute. Okay? There's many different reasons of why people do not have a home of their own, so let's not throw stones in the glass house. Okay, but at the end of the day, we are human beings above everything, regardless of what our struggle is. And sometimes we get jaded and we lose focus on that. And I think that's one of the most humblest things about doing stuff like this, is because I get to bring you down to the basics, okay, on things like this. Ash, what are some of the things that in 2016, Operation Expose CPS has been around for a little bit now. Anon Resistance has been around for quite a while, doing very, very great work. What are some things that yourself, and then if you can, or if you feel comfortable, Anon Resistance focuses are within Operation CPS and Right to Rest this year?
Well, there's focus on Sacramento and Denver. And those were both focusing on camping bans and the people within the city council and some of the businesses involved in downtown collectives and things like that are supporting the camping bans.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is there any I guess this is kind of a hard thing for me because I come from the system. I had a guardian ad litem. I was in foster care. I was in group homes. I get the whole 9 yards. I'll get to that in my moment of clarity. But what would you, just being Ash, what would you say to the parents who feel like they don't know what avenue to turn to bring the proper attention to their situation? Because there's a lot of parents out there. I can speak for my parents. May they rest in peace. The one biggest thing that my mom was always afraid of was telling somebody, them believing her, the backlash because of it, the thoughts in the community. What would you, especially being an advocate of Anon Resistance, what are some things that you would say to those parents, or maybe even resources on a national or domestic level to be able to give those parents who know that they're being mistreated by these governmental agencies and bring awareness to their issues?
You're asking what can they do to help, or what can they do to find resources? Because we've been collecting names, website addresses, etc., of lawyers with good reputations, attorneys that have good reputations for providing child protective services in cases like that. And that will be posted on the site as soon as we get enough. And if anybody has or knows of anyone out there, please send them to us. Send us a link to their site so we can add it. And second purpose of the groups that we're using is not just to organize protests and things, it's also to find advocates for people that are familiar with the laws in those states. So if you have someone in, say, California or Texas, they can contact the main page, and then we can get them in contact with someone in their area that knows the law. Because I'm still learning the system, and there's a lot to learn. One of the things I could say is never sign anything without first talking to legal representation or understanding what you're signing. But as a general rule, I would say don't sign anything, because they will use your signature as basically an admittance of guilt, which justifies the case being open. So when they try to get you to sign a case plan, what they're doing is trying to get you to admit guilt, which from that point, the case has to be open for 6 months once you sign it. There's several dirty tricks that they pull.
It almost comes down to basically you doing their dirty work for them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The system is different in each state, so.
Exactly. It's funny because, we've talked about different operations here. We talked about Operation Right to Rest. We talked about Operation Blue Balloon, Operation Pedo Hunters. We've talked about several different ones. And I'm sure to the new listener, they might not be understanding how this all ties together. And I'm going to throw a little more monkey in the wrench here, because we're going to get back to the CPS issues while we have you here. But it's funny because this also plays into the current presidential circuit. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it really does. It's funny how all of these spider webs in the glass make a very fine break. End quote. That it really is funny how this all goes together, because believe it or not, to me, as far as me being a researcher over the past 10 years, it has never been a shock to me, the pedo ring that goes on within Washington. There's stories coming out about the D.C. Madam. And if you are not familiar with who that is, I do encourage you to go ahead and look her up. InfoWars Alex Jones has interviewed her shortly before her demise. It is coming up with new investigations on her murder because of her clientele list of high client Johns who engage in all kind of different fornicatic activities as their quote-unquote representing for you and me, so they say. Ash, do you want to let our listeners know a little bit of what we were talking about in the green room as far as this, and link it a little bit of how it goes all together?
Well, yes. In our first video, we mentioned the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking scandal with the underage women and the Lolita Express, that Clinton was apparently a regular a regular on. And about a month ago or so, there was a Corbett report talking about how Trump had been recently implicated in that also, and that apparently another victim or two had come forward stating that Clinton, Trump, and Prince Andrew were all intimately involved in the sex trafficking ring. And if you look at Epstein's book, his black book with his numbers and contacts in it that was leaked, you find Trump's wife's phone number in there. And, of course, Bill Clinton's. But it appears that a lot of these people are linked through these sex trafficking rings. And I guess there was talk of Cruz being implicated in the D.C. Madame case. That possibly being one of her clients.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah,
they're definitely connected. And there was a couple theories came up involving possibly the people that are behind this in the Clinton camp that were also possibly behind Nancy's murder, Nancy Schaefer, because it's clear to me that she was not murdered simply for her investigation into Child Protective Services. It was the link between that and further sex trafficking that really got her murdered.
Really quick here, just to interject here. Speaking of Ted Cruz, I do have a crooksandliars.com article here, which I just found this media source and had to source them a couple of times before I decided to put it out on air. But they actually have go back to the Daily Mail reports and sourced it. But this is an article about Ted Cruz' phone number on the D.C. Madam's client list. It's a very short article, so I'm going to breeze through it here pretty quick. Did Ted Cruz visit one of the D.C. Madam stable of prostitutes in the 1990s and early 2000s? That is a question that may be answered very soon as a list of clients' phone numbers may be released. Just last week, Cruz was accused of cheating on his wife with at least 5 women, one of which was alleged to be a high-priced prostitute. Cruz did not respond to the initial report, dismissing it as lies fabricated by Trump's friends at the National Enquirer. But after this weekend's revelations, he finally did have to address the elephant in the room by telling Fox News, check the source, anyway, quote, "I have always been faithful to my wife," end quote. Is this just wordplay, though? So is he just splitting hairs, picking specific words to make it seem less icky? Ted and Heidi didn't get married until 2001, so any, quote, visits to prostitutes would be unflattering and potentially qualify as cheating on his girlfriend or fiancé, but wouldn't qualify as cheating on his wife. As a very religious man toting his evangelical family values, visiting a prostitute and paying for sex would be frowned upon at the very least. Britain's Daily Mail reports that the D.C. Madam's former lawyer, Montgomery Blair Sibley, Sibley, is trying to lift a gag order preventing him from releasing the phone records. He has been in the D.C. news in recent months after asserting that there are numbers on the client list that would have an impact on the presidential election, although he does not say which candidate it would affect. Again, these are only allegations at this time. If the gag order is lifted, expect the list of numbers to be made public quickly. Okay, number one, I kind of like how mainstream this is an article, by the way, by Sarah P. of Crooks and Liars. The one thing that kind of just drove me nuts, and I've read several different media outlets that covered this because several media outlets have, I love how they say the presidential candidate. So you mean there's only one person on there that this is directed to? You mean to tell me that, you know what I mean? It just kind of sets it up for a quagmire, almost. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, the run of sex rings, whether it be little kids and little boys to, you know, gay sex or whatever the situation may be, mind you, on the taxpayer's dime. Oh, yeah, we pay for those sex parties, ladies and gentlemen. Okay?
Right.
So
That's
if there's no...
point.
Right. You know, if there's no other point to get pissed about, just know your dollars are going for him to play with the little boy, if that doesn't get you mad. Okay? Because I'm trying to really get people to be like, are you serious? Okay, this needs to stop. Bring awareness to it. And we've been trying for several years here, so I'm not going to, you know, spot dot and, you know, rainbow and lollipop bullshit anymore, okay? People, shit's getting real, and every day is another day that they're getting closer to trying to achieve their goal, and we are losing it. Okay, so if this is something that, I don't know, is a little harsh for you, well, get some Vagisil, okay? Because this is going on right now. This is happening to our youth right now. This is something that is important to our country, such as voting. Bringing the person that the majority believes that will be the person to carry us into the next generation, to carry us into the next 4 or 8 years or whatever their term is, has been made a fucking mockery. It's a joke. They've made it a joke. There's experts out there that are telling you right now that the popular vote doesn't matter. The party determines who is going to be the person to represent the party. So you can have the popular vote all day, vote that's going to be the person, and they're telling you that it doesn't matter. I digress. Back to the sex ring thing here. Ash, what would you like to add about that? We talked about it back and forth today for a couple hours. Let our listeners know of what your thoughts of this is and where you see this headed.
Well, obviously, there's something that both Trump and the Hillary Clinton camp are both tied to that neither one want to get out. Otherwise, they would be using it as ammo against each other all day long. And possibly the Sanders camp may use that as ammo, even though that doesn't really seem to be his style. And it's interesting to note that that hasn't been brought up yet. But maybe that's just him being a statesman, as was the case with his avoiding the APEC meeting. I don't know if you were following that.
Yeah, no, I was. Yeah, to say the least.
Which I thought was well done.
Yeah, I give credit where credit's due. Yeah,
right. Trump basically did the same thing a few months ago, then went and directly talked to them, which I found entertaining too.
Exactly. I went down to the Trump rally and I covered the Trump rally and the Bernie rally, which, mind you, I had let our listeners know in the first hour. You weren't with us, but that I didn't know that they were across the street from each other, and I was going down there and I found out en route there. And I was like, oh, shit, because of all the violence and all the way that mainstream media has let it go out in the reports and everything. I'm like, damn, I'm not really in fight mode or protect myself mode. But then I forgot this is Wisconsin winter, and it makes everybody go slow. Yeah, so it was really cold, little flurries, and plus it was opening day. So it wasn't too bad. But listening to the Bernie supporters versus the Trump supporters, and Trump said, I went to the actual Trump rally and videotaped the whole thing. I'll put the videos up soon. Trump even admitted that he was establishment before. I'm just trying to figure out when that turnaround happened. You know what I mean?
Right, and it's interesting to note that Edward Snowden actually tweeted that 2016 was a choice between Goldman Sachs and Donald Trump, which I found very surprising.
I did too. I did that too. I honestly did too. I actually don't have that loaded up because we actually were talking about it before. It's not up right now.
In the chat?
I'm sorry?
It's in the chat.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that both Sanders and Trump are actually positive signs as far as the dissolvement of the two-party system that's coming.
Exactly. I do.
Even if you don't like Trump, it's still, I think, even if you don't like Trump or agree with his policies or what he's saying, I still think that it's a good sign in general that we're moving away from the two-party system.
Yeah, most definitely. But see, I'm kind of wondering that even though we're moving away, I guess this is my point about it. Even though we're moving away from the two-party system, what is that going to make the third party?
Right.
How
well,
diluted
I would say
and
Green or Libertarian would be the next one to hop on that. Sanders may even end up starting his own party because there's been so much grassroots activism that's popped up around his campaign that that could possibly lead the way to a new third party being formed.
I
heard people talking about bringing back the Bull Moose Party.
Oh, jeez. Woo. Bring it back. Wow. Ash, we are here at 8:30 or so, and I'm glad we really got to get more into Operation ExposeCPS. We're going to close up with some things here in a second. I want to hit a couple more articles, though, that might go a little bit off kilt, but kind of on the same thing. I'm going to go into our segment that I like to call Tool of the Week, because this is just a story that just really pisses me off beyond no end. I posted about it on the RWO on Facebook. Deep breaths. This is an article from REMD.com. Tuesday, April 5th, 2016. Okay. Walk of Fame to remove Trump star because people keep peeing on it. This is an article that was originally posted April 3rd, 2016 by Vincent Conway, just as it's spelled. The article is very short. In hilarious news, we got a report today that the Hollywood Historic Trust is considering removing Donald Trump's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame because of many tourists keep defacing it. Excuse me. Well, defecating too. We'll go further into that. Defacing it. There have been reports of vandalism, people peeing on it, dogs peeing on it, and even humans pooping on it. Yes, you read that right. Someone spray painted a mute symbol over it. Someone spray painted a mute symbol on Donald Trump's star on Hollywood Walk of Fame. Laugh out loud. And that's pretty much the end of the article. It goes into a bunch of tweets of it, and it shows a picture of a guy literally pulling out his wing and peeing on fucking Donald Trump's star. Okay. I'm going to go off on a tangent on this, so I'm going to ask our awesome guest to go ahead and say what he feels about what I just brought to you.
Me?
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, I thought you were bringing in another guy. Sorry. Well, I think it's a huge waste of time, and there's a lot more positive, constructive things that you can do as far as activism other than urinating on Donald Trump's star. I mean, it's definitely my opinion about it.
Okay, first off, I just dealt with 2 rallies, and I'm reporting and dealing with retarded people and smart people in both respects. And then I read something like this, and I honestly was pissed off. Are you serious? You're pissing and shitting on Donald Trump's star. Okay, It wasn't enough that you said that you were going to assassinate him. Okay. It wasn't enough that you said that you guys have stopped rallies like the one in Chicago. Okay. Then mainstream media goes after him. Okay. I hate defending any left or rightist point blank, period. But you say, mainstream media says that Donald Trump preaches hate. He's sexist and everything else. He hates foreigners. Okay, first off, ladies and gentlemen, let me bust that bubble really quick. Both his wives, his ex-wife and his current wife, are foreigners. They're foreigners.
Right, his deportation scheme would get them deported as well.
They're not from the fucking United States, so while you're saying he hates foreigners because he wants to build a wall, you're mad at him because he doesn't want illegals. See, people just hear immigrants. Okay, did you notice how they went? Immigrants. Okay, you black out the first word and then just go to your point, which is immigrants. Okay, immigrants isn't the problem. Okay, but I have a problem with people from a different country coming to my country telling me how I need to change to conform to them. That's like me coming to your house and rearranging your house and saying, this is how it should be when I come over. Would you like that? No, you wouldn't. You get pissed off. You'd be wondering, who the hell am I? Okay, well, that's what the pawn pieces are doing right now and the elite are doing right now. Okay? That's how they're moving the chessboard across. In case you missed that. Okay? He hates illegals because he wants to build a wall. Here's another common sense point. Ladies and gentlemen, we already have a wall.
Right.
We already... I'm sorry, go ahead, Ash.
If you look into the border policy, you will find that Obama's border policy is killing more people than ever before than any other policy, simply because we have just enough of a wall and just enough patrol to force any illegal migrants through the harshest terrain that there is. And so there's long stretches without any water, and people die very frequently. So, in effect, Trump's policy of fully extending the wall would be more moral than the system we have now. It would actually save lives compared to what's going on now.
The Guardian article right now. The title is Mexico tortures migrants and citizens in effort to slow Central American surge. So, where's the headlines that Mexico is racist? Where is the protest that Mexico preaches hate? Because guess what? Mexico don't want them either. Hey, there's articles out right now about foreign countries and dignitaries, oligarchs, globalists, internationalists, whatever you want to title them, they're all of the same bunch, okay? That even those countries are rejecting immigrants, illegal immigrants, because, of course, we already know we have a broken judicial system. We have a broken education system. We got broken infrastructure. So why the hell do you feel confident that we have a solid vetting system? Okay, I'm not standing up for Trump, but what I'm saying is that common sense is common fucking sense. Why would you let somebody in your house and watch your kids that you don't know? Or are you going to sit there and background who the hell they are because you want to know who's around your kids? It's the same damn thing. With a little bit of twist. Use your head, people. This isn't something that just came from quote-unquote tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists, okay? This is something that is no bullshit and is in effect, okay? I want to switch gears really quick here because this is a Texas article that I found on redstate.com. The title is Ted Cruz, Greg Abbott, and John Cornyn continue to fight for veterans, which I thought was hilarious, but we'll continue with the article. It's really short. It's by Joe Cunningham. But I just want to read this couple of paragraphs, and then I invite you guys to go ahead and research it and look it up. But here's how the article goes. This is my example of mainstream media and the paradigms and switches between left, right, middle, white, black, whatever you want to call it. Okay, here you go. Ted Cruz and John Cornyn, the U.S. senators from Texas, and Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, issued an open letter last week to add pressure to the Department of Veteran Affairs to fix the problems that continue to run rampant. Since the VA scandal blew up in 2014, the Investigator General has been hard at work finding out just how badly VA administrators have been mucking things up for veterans in dire need of health care. In Texas, a recent concluded investigation of 12 VA facilities VA facilities concluded that a culture of fear led to the adjusted wait times of patients. Like I said, you can go ahead and continue to read onto that article. It just kind of snagged my attention, and I thought it was utterly hilarious. What did you think there, Ash?
Republicans helping veterans? Doesn't sound like something that's really happening. Doesn't sound like that. I'll believe it when I see it, basically.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, go over there to Saudi Arabia as a woman without your whatever they call it on. And I'm not uneducated about it. I just don't want to give it more attention than everybody else already has. That's all. In case anybody has any questions about that. It has been an awesome show this evening. I would like to thank everybody for listening to us. Ash, would you like to have any last words? Any links that you would like to shout out? Anything that you would like to close out the evening with?
I'd like to mention a few things, actually. One is our affiliate in New Jersey, DYFS Exposed, Department of Youth and Family Services, exposed.com. And a great article came out today, Safe Families and Adoption Act likely not being abused in New Jersey. Now, we know that lots of states do abuse the adoption incentives money, but not all states do. And we really have to focus on which states are getting that and look into these records and find out and basically start the FBI's investigation for them, because we need to find out which offices are getting the most federal funds and which ones are most likely abusing the money due to corruption, and then basically lay out a list of offices that are top priority for investigation. And I'm sure the list would not be as long as you would think. It's very, very doable. And I'm sure that will already coincide with the list we have of corrupt caseworkers, because many of them are coming from the same offices oftentimes. And so I'm sure the list that we already have would line up nicely with that list if we could get a hold of that information. I know our New Jersey admin has the information out there, and I'm sure some of our other advocates have that information for their state. It's just a matter of putting it all together and looking at what offices get it. And I want to say that this article is very well done simply because it looks at it from a rational perspective and says, here's what could be happening, let's look and see if that's actually happening, and it's not. And about Trump and him, all the fascism hysteria that's popping up around him, I do not think that he's really a fascist. I think that's being exaggerated to a large degree. But he is definitely rallying the people that already are fascists and the nationalists, especially the Southern nationalists. And these people are definitely rallying behind them. So that is real in a sense, but it's not as big of a threat as people are perceiving it to be. And if it all depends on how you define fascism. So if you're talking about the traditional right-wing kinds where racism and xenophobia and things like that are characteristics of it, or overt characteristics, then yeah, I guess you could say Trump's representing that. But fascism, defined as a merger of corporate and state power, I would say Hillary is the leading fascist here.
Exactly. Why exactly?
Do you have any thoughts on that? Because there was an operation called Operation White Rose that we're starting to get involved with. I believe was started by Red Cult, which was started off as him attacking Trump. And there's been a lot of backlash from within the Anon community saying that, you know, we don't support just specifically attacking him. Now, if you're going to add the other candidates to it and to really look at what fascism is, then yes, we can attack that. But if we're just going to single out Trump, then the majority of Anons are not supporting that.
Well, I will definitely say that because, I mean, we've kind of had a little bit of dialogue on it in the last couple of weeks on it because of a logo that I know you were working on. And you know me, I'm not going to co-sign shit until I research it a little further. And unfortunately, I really didn't have much time to go deep into it. I will, and this is a covenant to our listeners as well, I will address that question on the very next ATG just because I want to get a little bit more info before I put my 2 cents in it. But from what I've understood, the anti-Trump thing is whatever. I'm an anarchist, so it kind of is whatever as far as that. But as far as the other things that they are focusing on, I am a little more curious on their direction on it. And as of so far, we're good to go. But I just want to get a little more information personally before I give a dead on that, if that works.
Well, we're part of the collective too, so therefore we have just as much say in directing the aims and goals of operations, I would say.
Oh, yeah. No, exactly. And that's why I just want to think a little bit more before I give a formal comment on that one, you know, and I absolutely agree with you on that one.
Because there's quite a few conservatives that are following Operation ExposeCPS that were very disappointed to learn of Anonymous specifically targeting Trump. And I would try to tell them that you know, we are expanding that beyond just him, and the majority of the collective is not supporting attacking him solely.
Right, and the whole thing is that Anonymous never gets into the whole political thing anyway. And nobody can speak for Anonymous, not even Anonymous. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that go into that. As far as White Rose goes, I think that it's going to be a very beneficial thing going forward as far as people get past the political agenda that it was on in its inception, if that makes sense. Because there are greater benefits longevity-wise that they're working on. And I'm going to bring more of those to light because, like I said, you put me onto that, and I started looking into it. And I'm going to do a little more research, but it's definitely going to be something that we're going to go into because it's way beyond the political and geopolitical makeup that it was originally started on. It's branching out into several different things that definitely deserve attention and that good people are working hard on to make change. That makes sense?
And one last point I wanted to bring up. I saw some signs at the Kansas protest that reflected this. One of the things we mentioned in the last video released is the numbers of children that die in foster care. Now, this isn't being murdered or dying necessarily as a result of foster care because we don't have those numbers. They don't keep statistics like that. We just know the number of foster children that died, period. Now, that number is about 68 per year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas the number of citizens in the U.S. killed by police is about, this is per 100,000 of the population. There's about 68 foster children and about 0.35 people by police. So the risk of death in foster care is 201 times higher than
now. Is that
the
percent?
risk of dying by police.
Is that percent? Or is that 201 times?
That's 201 times. Because you have
either way you look at it, it's not good.
And then 0.35 per 100,000. Then that's off the site killedbypolice.net, which shows around 1,200 deaths per year by police officers. And some of them are justified.
Ladies and gentlemen, I really want our listeners who, like I said, all around the world, thank you guys for joining us tonight. But do you understand that we're throwing out numbers like the war in the Middle East? And this is our children.
Yes, this is insane. Foster
this
kids'
is our
lives
children.
matter.
This is crazy. This is insane.
I'm not saying I don't support police accountability protests because I do 200%. Black Lives Matter, whatever it takes to get this issue being talked about. But where is the outrage for the broken foster care system and the children that it kills? Because
I'm going to throw
children were taken for neglect and then they're put in a situation where their life is at risk or they're at risk of being sexually abused. A lot of times neglect amounts to being poor. So,
I'm just going to throw that out there.
A situation where there was no risk of sexual abuse or physical abuse like that, or death, and then put them into a situation where they are being sexually abused. And the risk of sexual abuse is estimated to be like 75%, so something like 28 times higher than the general population.
We're putting our children and our youth as a frontline dummies. We're abusing them. This is crazy that people are out there treating children like this, and the very system that is supposed to be there to protect them is not. It sounds very general for me to kind of sum it up like that, but I don't know, it just blows my mind. Thank you very much, Ash, for joining us this evening on Anon Resistance, discussing Operation CPS, ExposeCPS, along with various different other issues. We really always appreciate your time. Definitely welcome you back, and have Ed on too as we get deeper into Anon Resistance and the different operations that they are bringing light to. So again, thank you very much, brother, and make sure you come back.
Yeah, well, I'd like to get some of our other family from Colorado and California on next time, maybe talk about Operation Right to Rest. This definitely deserves more attention than it's been getting.
Oh, absolutely. That's on our agenda this year. So after the show, go ahead and contact me, and we'll set that show up.
All right. And, yeah, the next protest for April is 22nd to 25th, that weekend area, anytime in there. And then the next one after that is June 1st to 5th, from International Children's Day to the anniversary of the last international protest last year, the first one last year. And, yeah, there'll be several guerrilla-style operations through April. Writing on the margin on currency, where it's not considered defacement, where you can write something on there, specifically into the laws about that. But people were writing those, Op Death Eaters, Op ExposeCPS, Taken, etc., on bills and trading them around. That's one good way to spread awareness. And then the third week of April, before the protests, we're asking people to go out and hand out pamphlets about family court corruption, CPS corruption, etc., outside of family juvenile courts. Going straight to where the problem is and talking to the victims themselves and passing out pamphlets and raising awareness and trying to grow the numbers of the protests, etc.
Excellent. And then, people always talk about grassroots movements. You know what I'm saying? Just like activism. The most important letters in activism is ACT. is the very same thing to get there, get people involved, go to right to the source, right to the horse's mouth, and start within and move out. Excellent. Thank you so much, Ash. I hope that we gave a great platform to be able to get this information out, and definitely we will be connecting again here very soon. Thank you again, brother.
Oh, one last thing.
Yeah.
There's been several attempts to contact presidential candidates running and get them to bring up ExposeCPS and reform into the debate. And I will say that Bernie Sanders' wife is a social worker, so that could work against us or for us. But definitely we'll have a very good chance of getting his attention on that issue due to that, I think.
Oh,
I think
wow.
we stand a better chance of that working for us than against it. But I think that people need to be aware of that and the implications of that.
Definitely. I think that's even something to definitely put on Anon Resistance along with the other links as well. So when the listeners go and check out the other information on tonight, they can check that out as well. And we always talk, so I'm sure you'll shoot me the link and I'll post it up. So that'll be great. Thank you so much, Ash, and till next time, brother.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
All right, that's Ash Fawkes of Anon Resistance. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having that gentleman on with us. Him and Ed, they work tirelessly along with the other people that they are affiliated with. Thank you guys very much for your work. We are at the end of the hour. We are at the end of the show. I thank everybody for listening to us. Please tune in to tomorrow's episode of Beyond the Veil, which is our mother radio network or radio station on the ANT network, hosted by Switchblade and Orlando Phoenix at 7 p.m. Central, USA time zone. Same bad time, same bad station here on blogtalkradio.com. Definitely look for the post on Facebook, either in Operation Matrix 3, Anonymous North Texas page, the RWO, or Against the Grain, or any of our other various media outlets. Again, thank you guys for joining in with us. It's always a humble effort to come in and present this news to you guys, even though the subjects may be hard. Tonight's in a moment of clarity, I'm going to end with one of my favorite bands, Stain. Aaron Lewis, I did definitely email you from our Twitter account, which is at The Real Ward, O-R-D, because Twitter doesn't let you go any further than that as far as letters, so that's what we got. As far as permission to play the song, so in keeping with respect to your art, I did not violate that, and instead I will read the lyrics to your song, Frey, that I feel is very appropriate for this. So this is how I am ending the evening. I know that it never goes away. All I feel, everything I'm not today. Boy, I tell you, Blog Talk, you just never, ever stop, do you? Well, anyway, we are ending our show, and I'm going to start over with the Stain lyrics from the Fray. I know that it never goes away, all I feel, everything I'm not today. So I try to make everything right. I don't feel like I'm doing it. It affects me. Would you listen even if I told you? Who the fuck am I to say? You're too busy with the lies they sold you. Another cure to fix your day. Open wide for all the shit they feed you while the TV defecates, and blindly walk wherever they lead you while the edges slowly fray. And one of the verses on there is, I know that everything can change. What I need is to open up again. So never again will I look back in vain, because today is not the past. I don't need to relive it. And then it goes into another one of the verses where he says at the end, I've learned that life's not just a game, just a line between the pleasures and the pain. I've always respected Aaron Lewis because he is a very good artist, and Stain's come out with a lot of music, and I feel like that is a song, and go ahead and look it up, to Stain, The Fray. with the music behind it. It gives a little more impact to it. But I always feel like that was me being a child. I was in the system. I was in foster care. I was in group homes. I had a guardian ad litem. I've been abused in the system. I didn't come from the greatest background. Nevertheless, I dealt with firsthand on how the system is. So I do these shows not to just bring awareness because it deserves to be awareness, because this is our future, and somebody has to fight for these babies and leave this planet better than how we got it, so they don't have to stress and become the generation unknown, the generation that's taking over the world right now because we were unknown, because we didn't know what we were getting. We didn't know where we were going. We didn't know where we were headed. And we've kind of made the steps go along the way. Like I said, tune in tomorrow, Beyond the Veil, 7 p.m. Central, where we will be getting into more topics, covering more news, and bringing you guys more of the facts. It's been an honor. Thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. I am Rush Perez, your humble servant. Proud to serve you guys. Thank you. Have a great evening. And make sure you be safe. Love one another. Love each other. Spread knowledge, detach, and repeat. Until next time, good night.